You see a lot of boobs, you see a lot of butts, you see some dong. But I mean, like Chelsea Lynn, she's like a bigger gal and she's like 6'2". She's very open and proud of her body and showing her body. And like we really lean into that and like that's part of it. But I think we also do well at hitting like we're as raunchy and non like PC as we can be with still being very PC and respectful. Like you feel like you're watching this like crazy over the top comedy, but if you really get down to it, it's like there's nothing of there's it's like we're still being like a modern where it's a modern comedy take, but you will see some nudity. So if you're offended by that, do not watch it.
I'm absolutely not offended by that, so I will definitely be watching.
And ese hombre holding up the bottle. Look a little closer, cigar and Moscato. An actor in improv coming from Chicago. Outdoor, make way for Paul Vato.
Clayton, welcome, my friend. Welcome.
What's up?
What's up?
Oh my God, a new platform.
You know what? Because there isn't enough platforms that I'm sure you're already on. Yes, everyone, applause. Welcome my guest, Clayton Farris. Please, yes, let's give him a warm round of applause. This is Paul Vato Presents, and my guest today is Clayton Farris. And wiser words have never been spoken, Clayton. You're right. Another platform to be on.
It's so funny because only recently have I ever like considered myself on that cusp where I'm like, feel like technologically like stupid. I'm like, I don't like it's past me now. I'm old. I don't know how to work these things.
Well, I feel like you did brilliantly because this is your first day here on Fireside. So let me welcome you. And I hope that you like the experience because I feel like, yeah, there's audience interaction where they can pop up kind of
I
like
dig it.
and they can applaud, they can laugh, they can do things like that. And of course, if it gets to be too much, we can always silence it. But so I'm a big fan of the platform. It's owned by Mark Cuban, started by Fallon Fatemi, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. And it's just such a great platform, especially for creators because it's recorded. And then I feel like I'm trying to sell you Amway. And then it's only for a small investment, Clayton.
Well, no, I mean, I feel bad because I wasn't dogging the platform. I was kind of dogging my own, like, limitations.
I'm right there with you, buddy. I mean, I'm older now, and it's kind of like, oh, is this how my parents feel? But it could never be that because my mom is, banging on stuff and doesn't know why it doesn't work. And I kind of wanted to do a show. Maybe I'll do it on this where I talk her through tech. And I mean, it would just be so frustrating. So I don't know.
Like,
maybe
that would be the most ever seen.
Yes, and infuriating because it's just like, all right, you're right. Yours is the only thing that doesn't work. Everybody else's app works just fine. It's just yours that doesn't work. So,
right. Thanks for inviting me.
I appreciate you being here and taking time from your busy day. So let's get to meet you. Clayton Farris, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're originally from? And then, I always like to tie it in with improvisational comedy, which is my background. But I know that you also do, serious work as well as comedic work. So, yeah, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, that would be wonderful, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm an actor and writer and content creator that lives out here in Los Angeles. I've been out here for like 12 years, but I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, where I grew up. But yeah, I mean, I post a lot. Like I was on Vine back in the day. I had a large Vine following. So I've always been kind of in the content world as far as like posting on Vine and Instagram. And that's where I post my content. I did stand up back in the day. But then I'm also, an actor that does like legit film and TV stuff, also theater. So I'm just like, I've been all over the place. I am always looking for my next job, but I've been lucky that I've been able to support myself as a creative for like the past 10 years.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. How have you been able to support yourself as a creator, as a creative? Do you mean as an actor or do you mean creating social media things and
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a combo of all those things. It's kind of like, like any hustler or like freelancer, you kind of like mash up a bunch of things to get, to create like a year's worth of money to live on, I guess. But I mean, yeah, my main income comes from like commercial acting. I've done like over 25 national commercials. That's what I focused on when I first moved to LA. Um, and then, I just kind of supplement that with like different TV jobs. And I've started, creating sponsored content for brands that I post online. And yeah, I mean, just, yeah, it's like, well, like all over the place. Writing, I write for stand-up comedians sometimes. I write other people's comedy. I write my own comedy. Like I do it all, I guess.
That's wonderful. How does that work to work with another stand-up comedian? Do you get to know them a little bit and then you write stuff for them, or do you just send them your stuff? Go like, hey, this is stuff that I think would
So
fit you
one
well.
of the main comedians that I work with is this gal named Chelsea Lynn, aka Trailer Trash Tammy. Yeah, so it's more just like she came to me kind of wanting to do stand up, and I helped her develop her set based on my experience in theater and experience as a stand up myself, and just, yeah, it's just kind of like back and forth. But she's so busy with her own things, like she'll kind of like farm me out to write material for her. So I'll write sketches that a lot of times I'm in, and then I'll just kind of produce them for her and shoot them for her. But she's actually a friend of mine, and I've known her and her character Trailer Trash Tammy for like, I mean, eight years at this point. So it's something about it like speaks to me, and I just really understand like the point of view of that character, and we just go with it.
Wonderful. Has she been on major television shows? Because she looks so familiar.
I mean, she's like a huge internet like star, she has like 5 million TikTok followers.
That's it.
She
Yeah.
had like over a million Instagram followers, but her account got deleted
Oh,
because Instagram can be shady as shit. But yeah, so you probably recognize her there, but she has a Netflix show coming out here in a few weeks, and she's been selling out like theaters across the US for the past year.
amazing, wonderful. And that's something that really speaks to us as far as content creators is that, if Netflix doesn't come to you or whomever, like, hey, let me produce your show, you can do it on your own. I mean, we have the technology. We can put it up on YouTube and see, this guy Stavros, the Greek comedian, he just put it up on YouTube. And he's getting, I don't know, over 1 million views or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a show called Tammy Bangs, which is kind of like The Office meets like Pornhub, basically. And we've just did it ourselves. Using Chelsea's following, we just built this show. We have over 22 episodes of it, and I mean, we actually put it on OnlyFans, but it also has its own website. So there's two different ways you can access it. A lot of people are scared to like use OnlyFans because they don't want like their partner to know that they like have this OnlyFans account because they don't know who they're looking at or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we just make stuff and put it out. Like that's been my process ever since I was moved to LA. It's just like make it, put it out, make it, put it out, and like the thing about content is that it's not always good, it's not always funny, but you get better the more you do it and the more you practice and the more, like the more mistakes you make, you get better at it, and eventually people will respond to it. People always ask me, they're like, I was talking about this literally yesterday. It's like, how do you get more followers on like one of your platforms? And it's like, the only way to get more followers is to create content. Like you don't just get followers because people follow you unless you're like Beyonce or unless you're famous, like you have to create engaging content that people want to watch, and you have to do that over and over and over again until people feel comfortable, like you've earned their trust, and then they hit that follow button. Like I know for me, hitting follow is kind of like, you don't follow every person that you think's funny. It's like you have to earn that. And so to earn that, you just do it over and over again.
I should be more like that because I'm a pretty easy follower. Like,
Yeah.
the second I see that you're creating something, I'm like, yeah, follow, like, But I wish it was more also reverse. But like I can't now on Instagram because I follow too many people. So I've got to get rid of the I got to cut out that dead weight so I can actually follow people like you and follow you back. For those that are here, you definitely have to check out Tammy Bangs, and you have a trailer, and you have, I think, episode 1 maybe is complimentary.
Yeah, if you go to tammybangs.com, you can watch the first episode for free. And
That trailer is hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so funny. What a great concept. I love, exactly as you described it. The Office meets Pornhub.
Right.
And it's edgy, it's funny, it's hilarious. I'm guessing that there is no nudity, but maybe implied nudity.
No, there's nudity.
Oh, there is. Okay.
So that's why partly it's on OnlyFans. Like you do see nudity in it, but it's all kind of like comedically done. It's always done for like comedic effect. Even though it's about the porn industry, like you're not gonna see like actual porn. You're not like it's like the show's like hard R. It's rated R. But yes, you will see both like male and female nudity. You might even see my ass if you check it out.
That was my next question. You read my mind. Tastefully done, I'm guessing.
I mean, not really. Like one of my friends has described it as kind of like he's like it's very John Waters. Like it's not tastefully done. It's a comedy. It's a raunchy rated R comedy, and like it's not like high art by any means.
That's wonderful because I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but a throwback to almost like the Porky's movies, if you remember those of the 80s. It was probably before your time.
Yeah.
But that the 80s boobs and raunchy comedy.
You see a lot of boobs, you see a lot of butts, you see some dong, but I mean, like Chelsea Lynn she's known for she's like a bigger gal and she's like 6'2", and she's very open and proud of her body and showing her body, and like we really lean into that, and like that's part of it. But I think we also do well at hitting, like we're as raunchy and non like PC as we can be with still being very PC and respectful. Like you feel like you're watching this like crazy over the top comedy, but if you really get down to it, it's like there's it's like we're still being like a modern, where it's a modern comedy take. But you will see some nudity. So if you're offended by that, do not watch it.
I'm absolutely not offended by that, so I will definitely be watching. And I love the way you set it up. I guess it's like drugs. You've given people a little taste. You're like, here, this is the first time. It's me like with my cigars. The first time it's free. After that, you got to pay.
Yeah.
What's that process like? Or how does that firewall, almost technically speaking, how does that firewall work? Well, obviously, if they're on OnlyFans, there it is, which I think it's brilliant that you're using OnlyFans for that, which I believe was the initial intention of OnlyFans was for professionals and comedians and people to use, artists to use OnlyFans to monetize their content. And of course, it kind of went to the way of being sexual content. But
right.
I believe that was the initial thing.
I mean, that was the initial thing, and that's still like OnlyFans' mission. Like they are still trying. It's kind of like a place for subscription-based content for creators. It's just they're the only platform that includes like sex work creators.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So obviously, if they're on OnlyFans, then that's how they can watch the shows, and then through the website tammybangs.com.
Yeah.
Then what platform is it hosted on that it allows you to monetize it that way?
We built our own little website at tammybangs.com, and we utilize the I'm sorry, I get them confused. It's Vimeo, like Vimeo. It's Vimeo, like Vimeo Plus. So we basically pay Vimeo. They host it for us, and it just interacts very well with like the website and all that. So yeah, there's a whole subscription-based model that they have as well. And that's just the one we ended up doing because it looks really great, and it it looks really great. It's easy. It's functional. They don't take like a lot of the profit or anything. It's like to have something that clean and like that runs that smoothly. You really want to go with like a better. You can't just build your own website because it's not going to handle the content. You know, it's gonna lag. There would be too many issues. So yeah, we give them the first episode free, and hopefully that like gets them to bite. And kind of like any TV show, it makes you want to watch more. And like that's kind of been the experience.
What? How much is it? And do you sell it by the episode, or do you go like, no, you got to buy the season?
So you can go on and buy per episode, and I think each episode is like $1.99, or you get the entire series, which right now is 2 seasons for $19.99. So, but that's the other thing. It's like it's not cheap content. Like $20 is a big ask for people, but this is like a professionally produced, very funny, like we're very proud of it show, and there's like fans. Now we have fans. Like I've been out in public and been recognized for like Tammy bangs, you know, and like it's kind of like so cool.
Sure.
But it's also on our end, it's kind of like, you know, we could try to take it through like a more traditional route or like something, and we want to do that with like our next thing we produce, but for this we like to keep it kind of like, you know, like very, I don't know, like the audience builds itself, and it's a small loyal audience, and like we kind of like that. Plus we can't upload it to YouTube. We would have to do a lot of like blurring.
Right. No. I think it lives great on Vimeo, and I absolutely understand how that works as far as the architecture of Vimeo that allows you to stream flawlessly, and it works. So why take it anywhere else? But I could see someone, you know, like Netflix or Hulu, or maybe even just using that for your next project, like you're saying. But it really is so well done.
Thank you. And I mean, it's, you know, we have a season 3 that we're doing. So it takes, based on all of our schedules, it takes a while to get it done and get it going. Sorry, the trash is going by, so it's going to be loud for a second.
No worries.
But yeah, I mean, we're committed to doing 3 seasons at least, and we'll see what happens with it.
Well, if you're still auditioning actors, just let me know, because it's such a fun project.
Are you comfortable wearing a Speedo?
Yes, for you, yes.
Great. We will reach out.
What, was that the audition? Wonderful.
That was your audition.
I love it. Yeah, or if you need cigars for your project, Vato cigars. I'm in the cigar business. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, but, amazing.
Yeah, I have my own brand. So
that's so cool.
So this is basically, I think, why I have this podcast, is to try to get acting work and to sell cigars. So thank you for being a part of this.
Well, I mean, I know that you're like a master improviser, and like actually we do have, I will reach out, because we have a series, we have this one portion of our show called the Nut Bus. It's like, if you think about like, you know, when you watch porn and it's like they go pick up someone from like the street, like a random person. We do a take on it. Yeah, we do a take like that, where you never end up. And I hate talking about this show because people get confused, like we're making porn. We are not. It is not porno. It's like The Office. It's the behind the scenes comedy of what's happening. Like it's not what you think. I would be happy to show that. Like my parents watch the show and think it's funny.
But your parents were in porn, correct? No,
yeah, my parents were. My dad is actually Ron Jeremy.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, no, we're kidding, folks. No, if trust me, if I think our audience, well, most of them are smart enough that when they watch it, they realize exactly what it is. I mean, within the first couple seconds, you're laughing already. It's just so brilliantly done, and I love that documentary style, The Office. You know, things like, I think it's just so well done. Spinal Tap, you know, going back to Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And if I were to work on this would be the second project almost like that. I mean, this other one was a movie that Will Sasso wrote. If you remember Will Sasso from Mad TV.
Of course. Yeah.
And, so he put me in his movie it ended up being called For Christ's Sake. And I just played a sound guy, like on a porn set. But initially it was Fucking for Jesus, Fucking for Jesus, where he uses his brother's. His brother is a priest, a Catholic priest, and Will goes to him to borrow money. He tells him that he's sick, and he goes to borrow money in order to finish making his porno. This was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you know.
I love it. I'm sure someone recommended they change the name, right?
They absolutely did. They're like, yeah, we're not calling it fucking for Jesus.
If you want anyone to see this.
If you want this to stand any chance.
Right.
Exactly. But no, I think, not to keep harping on it, but I think you guys have something really, really great over there. And I'd love to, you know, be able to watch the rest of the episodes. I'm already invested just with the trailer.
Great.
Invested, so I'll definitely.
I'll send you a link so you don't have to pay.
What? Okay. Folks, but you guys do have to pay. So please check out TammyBangs.com and help support. You know, I'd also be willing to support, because that's what we need, you know, as individual artists. How are you involved in it? I mean, I know you're an actor in it, but also writer, producer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like technically I call myself the showrunner, because that's like essentially what I do. I write the whole series. I'm one of the, like, I'm not the main. I'm kind of like a second character, you know, a secondary character in it, because I also direct, and I mean, I do pretty much everything. It's like it's been the biggest lesson I've ever learned in how to make movies and how to make TV. It's been like, that part of it's been invaluable. And I mean, yeah. So I'm a writer, actor, creator, all that in it.
Wow. Wonderful. Brilliant. What a lesson, I would imagine. I mean, just
honestly, I mean, it's like, if there's any like actors or people, you know, like there's listening, it's the way to learn how to do this shit is just make it. Just start doing it, you know? And then sometimes it's kind of funny having done that when I'm on like a normal television set now, because I'm so involved in the process on Tammy Bangs or some of my own content I make. I have to like bite my tongue whenever I'm working on scenes, because as you probably know, when you're on a TV show, they're not very open to ideas or, you know, fresh takes on things or line changes unless you're like the star of the show. So a lot of times I have to just remember to zip it.
Know your place. And you know what? I think I noticed that you were on a soap opera as well. Have you done a soap opera?
I have done a soap opera. I was on Days of Our Lives. I had a small recurring role in Days of Our Lives, which was also like a lesson, a crazy like experience to be on a soap like that. Yeah.
I did Bold and the Beautiful. I was on for a couple months, and
nice.
I learned, because I'm both bold and beautiful.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Because and I learned exactly what you said, kind of like, and it was, you know, you're worried about continuity usually. And we were doing the scene, and when I left the night before, the trash can was on one side. When I came back, the trash can was on the other side. And I go, hey, you know, I don't mean to be out of place here, but just so you know, that trash can was over there, you know, when we finished filming last night. And the guy kind of goes, the art director, whomever, he goes, you know what? He goes, it's a soap opera. He goes, no one cares. He goes, and he was very nice. He was, you know, and I was like, I got you, and it won't happen again, you know.
Yeah.
He goes, we don't really have time, because I think at the time we were shooting 2 30-minute episodes back to back in a day. He goes, we don't really have time to. He goes, but thank you. And I was like,
there's no time. There's no time for continuity there.
There's no time for continuity. He goes, no one cares, no one's watching, but they'll forget by the next day too. And I was like, okay, makes perfect sense.
Right. Yeah.
So, but you're right. You sometimes you sit there, and I think this is important for people to hear. And you're like, oh, you know, I've got a great. I mean, I saw a guy get fired off of Cedric the Entertainer Presents.
Yeah.
And it ended up being Dr. Ken's first role on television, I believe, at least in comedy. There was an Asian guy on the show, and he was suggesting changes, things like that. I was just like, man, just do your lines, bro. Sure enough, that Friday when we taped live, he was gone. We're like, what happened to what's his name? They're like, he's gone. Dr. Ken showed up.
Oh, no, that's so cool.
And I believe, I swear that he was like, yeah, I've never done TV before. That was his first thing. And then like a year later, you see him on The Hangover. But I feel like, and I helped him. I was like, I'll tell you what they don't want. You know, they don't want like this hip hop Asian guy that the other guy was playing. I'm like,
right.
Other than that, I don't know what they want, but don't do that. So yeah, if it's not your show, don't say anything.
Yeah. Well, I was on that show 911 recently, which is like a Fox show,
Mhm.
and just randomly I happened to know the director, and like that doesn't happen all the time where I felt kind of like, oh, interesting. I actually know like the director of this. I feel like I'm like, oh, I'm part of like the show. I'm part of the world. I'm part of Hollywood for a day. And that comfort level with him made me kind of like he was actually open to kind of talking about some ideas, but the writer was kind of like whenever we brought it up to the writer, she was kind of like, no, because a lot goes into it, a lot's planned. It's like, I get it, they don't need some day player coming in and being like, what if I have fangs?
What if I just improvise so I have more lines?
What if we like take my character on like a whole arc? They're like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
You're like, all right, I was just trying to get more work. That's
Yeah,
all.
exactly.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it. So maybe let's touch a little bit on growing up in Texas. You're from, did you say Dallas?
Yeah, I'm from Dallas.
Wonderful. Well, were you in theater as you were growing up, or comedy, or were your parents somehow involved? And how supportive have they been throughout your career?
I mean, yeah, I started in just kind of like, the traditional way. Like I started doing like church plays when I was, oh shit. Sorry, I'd hit the camera there.
No.
I started like doing like church plays and that sort of thing and choir when I was like really young, and then that just kind of like kept going. I started doing all the school plays in elementary school. I remember I was doing like there was like a Shakespeare team that came and like worked with when I was in like 6th grade, and they like worked with us. And I remember, interestingly enough, since you're such an improv guy, I kind of we were doing like Midsummer Night's Dream, and like I went up on like a line when I was doing Shakespeare, and this was in 6th grade. And I just started like improvising in like a Shakespeare, not like in Shakespeare verse, but just like within the moment in the play. I was improvising. The audience loved it, and it was funny. And I just kind of like getting that rush of like being in the moment and improvising and having like an immediate reaction like that just kind of like hooked me from that moment. That's when my obsession with validation, that's very unhealthy, started and continues to this day.
Sure. Wonderful.
But I mean, yeah, it's just continuing to do that. And then when I went to school for theater at like a school that did not focus on theater, but I just couldn't give it up. I started working in Dallas at like a hotel, and I was like on track to be like a hotel manager, and I could not stop acting. And I got laid off back in like, you remember the recession in like 2008. And then that was like such a blessing, because I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to move and pursue this like quiet dream I've always had of working in the industry. And like, that's what I did.
Is that when you moved to Los Angeles?
Yeah. Like right around a little bit after that, after getting
Mhm.
like laid off. Yeah. I moved out here to work in the film festival world, because I had met some people that worked at a film festival out here. And so I moved out here to work at Outfest, actually. So I worked at Outfest one summer, then AFI, then LAFF. And that kind of was like a crash course in like the business. And I met a lot of people, and I started learning about independent film. And it's all been a snowball to this moment here where I'm sitting in my studio apartment talking to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, what a road! And did you get representation right away, or how did that work? Or have you?
So that's one thing that I did interesting. Not interesting, but like when I moved out here, all I really knew was like the theater world from Dallas. Like that's how I met people. That was like what I did for my creative fulfillment, and also how I met a lot of friends. So when I moved out here, I didn't listen to people because everyone in LA will be like, theater sucks out here. Don't focus on theater. And I just like did the opposite. I went and saw a play kind of like literally like a week into moving. And I talked to the producer, and she's like, we're doing auditions for something coming up. And I just auditioned and started doing, I did Ragtime, the musical was the first thing I did out here. And it was at a small theater, you know, the Hudson Theater on like Santa Monica, like
Yeah.
it was there. And then the second show they were doing was West Side Story, and I auditioned for that, and I got cast as Action. And oddly enough, the guy that was playing Riff, or like the main jet, was like, "Hey, I'm moving to New York. You seem like a cool guy. I know that you just moved here. Let me introduce you to my agent." So like it was just it was something that very luckily happened for me, but I was showing the initiative and the drive, having like done this, you know, done the show. So anyways, I signed with this agent called Jana Luker, who's still around, and I booked one of my first like commercial auditions. And then once I got that job, I moved to Lemon Lime Agency, which was like I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they represent kind of like interesting, weird types of people. So like I was with them for a little bit, and then I booked a huge McDonald's campaign, and then I went to Abrams, or now A3, but like they're like a top, you know, like a top 10 agency. And yeah,
Wonderful.
focusing on commercials for me was like was a smart thing to do, because I was able to make money while I was as an actor. And I feel like a lot of actors are like, I don't want to do commercials. I only want to do like film or whatever. And it's it's such a long, hard road that you have to feel like you're part of the business somehow to maintain what it takes to keep going. So for me, the commercial world was like a way to do that. I was able to join SAG, I got insurance, like all those things.
Wonderful. And that's it. You absolutely take what work you can get. It's not like, oh no, I'm only a film actor or TV actor. It's like,
yeah.
No, you know.
I mean, like I never did. There's nothing wrong with doing like extra work or anything like that. Like I did extra work on Grey's Anatomy. Like that was one of the first things I did. And I did realize in that moment, I was like, this does not make me feel good, because I'm like, I want to be doing what they're doing. So I kind of vowed not to continue doing that. And like, so, but I think it is like it's not take what you can get, but it's like, look at every opportunity as a chance for you to do something interesting.
That's wonderful. But now, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you end up working on Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah, I ended up years later like having like a role on Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah,
so that was cool.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you enjoy more? I think I know the answer, but more comedic or more the dramatic roles, or for you, is it acting and either one?
I mean, to be honest, like even though I am a comedian and like my internet content suggests I'm a comedian, more of my TV credits are on dramatic shows. So like a lot of the Ryan Murphy, I've been on 4 Ryan Murphy shows. So like those are kind of, you know, campy and over the top, but they're still like dramatic. I don't know. I think it's like, I like the melding of both worlds, really. I like when I can play a dramatic character in dramatic situations, but like bring the comedy and bring the humor to it. Like that's my favorite kind of like melding of both worlds. I've never done like a sitcom or anything like that. I've just never have. I've auditioned for them. It just hasn't happened. So I don't know. I guess, yeah. I like doing both though.
Wonderful. Well,
and I love improvising. I love when I get to improvise on things and just kind of like go nuts.
Of course. Yeah. I love that as well. That's my forte.
Yes.
I love, you know, instead of having to memorize something, let's just improvise it and make it really funny.
Yeah. Cause I mean, maybe, I don't know about you. I suck at memorizing stuff. It's the worst. I'm bad at it.
I'll connect you with my friend Aaron, AER, Aaron McIntyre,
Okay.
McIntyre, who is in one, and your first one will be free. Lesson, he had me memorizing stuff that I was like, wait, what? How did that just happen?
Really?
So I have him on as a guest as well. But Aaron McIntyre, brilliant. If you don't mind, I'll connect you with him. Because,
go for it.
I think, you know, coming from an improv background and things like that, but he really gets you into the character, and then you almost know exactly what the character is what the next line is going to be. I don't know
That's
how
cool.
he does it, but he
I
did
love
it.
that concept. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Wonderful, wonderful. Greetings, my Vatos Locos, and welcome to another episode of Paul Vato Presents. I want to sincerely thank you for tuning in. People have been asking what they can do to help support our program, and well, the easiest way is to just head on over to Apple Podcasts and give us a like, give us a follow, maybe leave us a review. Also, maybe head on over to Spotify and do the same thing. We're on all the podcasting platforms, so give us a like, give us a follow, share it with your friends. You can also head on over to paulvato.com, and from there you can follow us across all social media. There's also a link to our Patreon. So for $3, less than a cup of coffee a month, you can help support our program, and it would be really appreciated. So thank you for your time, and now back to Paul Vato Presents with our very special guest. Thank you. Well, I love that, you're almost creating your own sitcom. So even if you're not on somebody else's, you're creating your own work, and that's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, it's true. It's like for anyone listening, just like follow your like passion and heart when it comes to creating content. That's how you get people to pay attention to it, you know?
And I love what you said earlier at the top of the show, which was, we have to create this and put it out there, because you can't just open an account and go, oh, well, where are my followers?
Yeah.
We have to give them a reason to follow us, creating content and consistency and posting and all that. And the rest will come. I mean, I've just been organically growing mine across, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. In 1 year on TikTok and Instagram, I've had more views than in 15 some years on YouTube. So it just depends which platform works for you. But, I abandoned YouTube for 10 years.
Yeah.
We were there at the beginning when we were doing Channel 101 back in Hollywood. And
I remember Channel 101.
I was a big part of that, so.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
So do you remember Mike Rose and Drew, Mike Rose and Drew Droege?
Planet Unicorn?
Planet Unicorn. So interesting story. Planet Unicorn was one of my favorite things before I moved to LA. I was obsessed with it. And then when I moved here, like two of the first people I met were Mike and Drew. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like a huge fan of the show you guys make. I did it like, is this how LA works? Like you just like meet your like idols, and they're, they weren't like huge celebrities, but they were making cool shit that I was like really into. So it was fun to get to work with them early on. And I did a Channel 101 show with them called Fagny and Gacy.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if I can say it, but yeah.
I was in that show, and it's like still one of the funniest things. They're so funny.
Maybe that's why you look familiar, because
maybe.
Yeah, no, Mike Rose and my ex-wife used to do Drag Addiction, which is a podcast covering RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, amazing.
And so she and Mike and Drew, best of friends.
Yeah.
So Channel 101. I know that Drew also did Chloe.
Chloe Sevigny.
Sevigny. Yes, I can never pronounce her name.
Yeah.
But just all brilliant people that I think, really excelled there at Channel 101. But that's great. I was in classroom with Mike Rose and Tyler Spears and Justin Roiland. So.
Amazing. I mean, it's like, it's kind of like so cool to have, and I wasn't a big part of that. I was just I had just moved here when that was happening, but it was like being part of Channel 101, which was like this, it was like a weekly competition.
I was trying to figure out that in one of my last interviews. I think must have been monthly. No, because
monthly. So it was like a monthly competition where people would make their own content. And it's just like, that sounds like kind of normal for now because everyone makes content. But back in the day, it was like very unique for creators to really to make their own stuff and like do web series. Like web series were kind of just starting. So it was cool to see that happening and be a part of it.
Well, it motivated me and my ex to do something. And Shelly Pack, we work with Shelly as well. I think I got them on a Discovery Channel when they started their new Planet Green, because we created a show called Keep It Green, and it was Shelly and Sarah. They were the hosts.
Yep.
And then when Discovery Channel started Planet Green, they were the first hires for a show called The G Word, and they were the Keep It Green girls. And then
cool.
Sarah and I were doing a show called the house sitter, where she would house sit for you, but only if you were famous. But even back then, we were able to talk Dave Faustino, who was Bud Bundy, into doing it. Wendy McClendon Covey,
Right.
911, and now she's huge Goldbergs, and
Yes.
from Mad TV, who's now on Fear of the Walking Dead, and Drew Droege. Drew Droege did an episode of The House Sitter with us.
Amazing.
So and I wish we would have never let that go, but it was like we didn't know how to monetize on YouTube, and then Sarah and I moved to Vegas, so we ended up starting this cigar company. And I wish, it's one of those things like, why did we ever leave Hollywood? We should have just stayed there and continued.
It's still, like, look, I think about leaving LA every day. As much as I love it here, and like, as I've been lucky to be able to do a lot of things, it's like, it's tough. It's a tough business, as we all know.
Would you move back to Texas? Because a lot of creatives seem to be moving to Texas.
I mean, yeah, that's a tough one. It's like, I don't know. It's like LA just as a city, weather-wise, like the ocean, all that stuff is like something I really love about it. And at this point, I'm so deep in the entertainment biz. It's like, I'm do or die. I'm not, like I can't, I don't know. I don't see myself doing anything else.
Nice. Well, you're so good at it though, that stay there, stay there, continue to do it. Don't get distracted. Don't, we're only one thing away from. Exactly.
It really is just the next, I mean, like all it takes is that one thing. So, I'm lucky because I get to support myself making content and doing things that I love to do. And you like, it's hard to actually let go of the dream of like, I don't know why I'm like focused on like, I want someone from like Hollywood to like recognize me and validate me, when it's like, I don't really need that. I have my own, thing going on. I don't need the validation. Like, it's not validating to have like 5 lines on a show, it's right. Like, it's not like, it's fun. It's a fun like goal to have early on, but you kind of realize like, oh, that doesn't actually fulfill me as a creative person. It's making my own stuff and making and like writing and creating and doing it all. That's what fulfills me.
Well, any way that I can help out, whether it's helping you promote or, just retweeting.
Wait, but do you live in Vegas?
I go back and forth. I mean, I had a house in LA, but it's still there. My ex-wife has it.
Okay.
But I still have, a place to stay in LA.
Yeah.
So I go back and forth when I get work. You find me in LA.
Yeah.
When if not, then I'm in Vegas, and it works out pretty good for for tax reasons and things like that. There are no personal state taxes here. Well,
I'm gonna send you an episode of like this that we would like love you to be on, and you can decide if you want to be on it.
Does it involve nudity?
No, it does not actually. It's
then maybe not then.
Okay. Wait a second. Where are those people coming from?
We have. If you look down, you'll see the people in the audience. And you know what, folks? Thank you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give Clayton a round of applause. Thank you guys so much for being here and spending.
I'm sorry. Like, I always feel bad being on comedy podcasts because I'm not funny on podcasts. I'm very serious.
You know what? I kind of go back and forth. I'm like, but it's comedic, and I have a lot of comedian friends, but I enjoy this. I think this is better, where we're not just trying to be funny.
Right.
It'll come. The comedic content will probably come because we're both hilarious people, but it's about the interview.
Okay, so if anyone wants to follow me on Instagram at Clayton Farris, where I post funny shit. Pardon my French.
Also, you can just click on the little fortune cookie right below us, and I've put the link to Clayton Farris's Instagram.
Oh, cool.
And so you can, folks, just please click on that and follow Clayton. And then also, are you on TikTok as well? Are you doing?
I am on TikTok. It's Clayton Farris Forever is my handle.
Of course it is.
But yeah, I mean, I usually post like most of Instagram is my main content. Instagram is my main, and then TikTok is my. Why is that funny? And then TikTok is my secondary. So follow me on Instagram.
Wonderful. I don't know why that's funny, but now I'm laughing. So yeah, round of applause, round of applause. And any special messages? I mean, we're in the middle of Pride Month. I don't know if this is something you feel comfortable discussing, but I've this month I did want to celebrate uh, Pride and all that entails. So if there's anything also if you have any final thoughts or
Yeah. I mean, so in the LGBTQIA plus spectrum, I do fall into the B spectrum. But it's
be more specific.
I'm bisexual and have been my whole life. And it's interesting because I do have a girlfriend right now. And whenever you're bi, but you have like a partner of the opposite sex, it kind of like feels like your queer identity gets erased a little bit. But I think that it's important to just honor yourself and know that like you are who you are, and you don't need to negate that side of yourself. Be proud of who you are, no matter what your orientation is. And June is a month to remind us that, but like it's important year round. So don't let the man hold you down.
Well, unless you're involved with a man, then
then you might want to get choked by that man. So enjoy that.
As long as it's safe.
As long as it's safe and consensual.
And right, I almost forgot about that part. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel like sometimes people need to hear that, especially younger people. And I hope that it's getting easier for people, but it can never be easy. I'm guessing, maybe even especially growing up in Texas. I don't know, if your parents were supportive or if that,
Oh yeah, my parents are very supportive, but like I got, look, I started doing theater when I was a young lad and was never that interested in like sports or like it wasn't like the traditional whatever. So I had the privilege of like being picked on and called names every day. But I think that like that, I mean, I hate to be like, it was okay because it made me who I am, but like it really made me resilient and made me realize that, like people are always dealing with their own shit. It's never about you. If someone picks on you or makes fun of you or doesn't like you for who you are, it's not about you. It's about them. So like just remembering that kind of just frees you up to like live the life the way that you want to. And I mean, Texas can be rough. Dallas is a big city. It's but it's full of a lot of people, especially when I was growing up, that weren't allowed a lot of self-expression, that deviated from, that certain type of person. So anyone that like deviated from that or was different than that type of person was like an assault to people because they were like, oh my God, why does this person get to be more expressive or like louder or like what they like and not what everyone else does? And that can be scary to people. But it's just like, fuck those people. You got to just be who you are.
Wonderful. Thank you. No,
I'm like, I didn't mean to get so deep. Now I'm, reliving my childhood and I'm depressed. I'm just kidding.
Did I not tell you this was a comedic podcast, Clayton? What's going on? I'm just kidding. What's easier? It's probably neither, but dating men or dating women? And I don't know if that's a silly question, but
I mean, I would just, I don't think I'm not good at dating anyone. So it's like, none of them are good or easier for me. I think that, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, I would say it's easier to have sex with women because the anatomy is a little more like makes.
I'm going to start using that as a sales pitch. Like, listen, it's just easier to have sex with you. Come on, let me.
Like in terms of just like it's easier the way it works.
It's physically easier to have sex with women.
But I mean, look, they're both fun, and I say live your life.
Wonderful. Well, Clayton, yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot. We'll see.
Give it a shot. It's Pride Month. Go for it. Live your life.
June.
Yes.
As long as it's in June, that's okay. Wonderful, Clayton. Thank you so much. And I hope I didn't mean at all. I hope none of the questions were offensive, especially at the end there.
No, not at all.
It's I'm I guess curious, about
Yeah,
everything.
I
But
don't
more
care.
importantly, I want people to learn about it and feel comfortable and
Yeah, people need to talk about it more. Like, there's tons of bisexual people out there that like never talk about it, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just it's like very. I think most people are bisexual. It's like it doesn't hurt you to talk about it. Definitely doesn't hurt me. It actually makes me feel better to talk about it. So I appreciate the conversation.
you got it, my friend. And I'm so glad to have met you
You
and get
too.
face to face. And I sincerely hope that we do get to work together in the future. Is there anything else? Any final thoughts? But also, besides following you on Instagram and on social media, is there any projects that we can look forward to besides
I
also
mean,
Tammy Bang?
there's Tammy Bangs, there's my Instagram, but I'm on that show. There's a new show coming out on HBO called The Gordita Chronicles.
I wanted to ask you about that. So
Yeah.
we're done yet. Okay, go on.
So I have a role in that series, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. It's in the finale episode, so that's coming out pretty soon. Actually, I think it's coming out the end of the month.
Well, I'm not going to watch it because I auditioned and I didn't get it. So
You did?
I did audition, but I didn't get it. But I will support, of course. I will watch. Did you go to Puerto Rico for that?
I did go to Puerto Rico. It was so cool. I loved it. I mean, it was one of my favorite jobs. I'd never been to Puerto Rico.
Neither have I. And that was the main reason I was like, I got to get this because I can't even remember what the part was. And I was like, oh, I really want to go to Puerto Rico for this.
Yeah, it was fun. So my character's name is Dick Summers, and he's a maybe you auditioned for it. He's like the host of like a beauty pageant type of thing. Yeah.
Doesn't sound familiar, but
there's so many jobs out there that are like, this shoots, in Cabo San Lucas or whatever, and you're like, God, that would be amazing to shoot. And it was, because on top of like just being in Puerto Rico and like being with the team that were amazing, like, as a SAG actor, when you fly across the country for those jobs, they have to fly you first class.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like just across the board was a dream come true. I was right by the beach. I mean, I loved it. I would go back anytime. Puerto Rico is amazing.
Amazing. Oh, and that was the main reason, of course, obviously to do good work, but I was like, oh, I'd love to go to Puerto Rico. And I don't know if it was that show or a different show, but I feel like they filmed it using Puerto Rican actors, but they're supposed to be Mexican American actors, and they had to reshoot a lot of stuff because people were like, no, maybe it was a different show. But
I don't know if it was that show, because I feel like that show would have been pretty, like the creators of that probably would have been very like confident, like would have, they were considering that from the beginning.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think it was a different show then.
I mean, the whole crew was Puerto Rican, and they were like the coolest like people ever. They would dance in between like takes. Like whenever they were like doing camera setups or moving equipment, like they would turn on this like music, and everyone was just like, yeah. And I was like, this is so fun.
That's the most Puerto Rican thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And of course they did that in between takes, like baila, baila, baila.
Honestly, I mean, it was so cool. I was like, everyone's so uptight in America or in the U.S.
Yes,
mainland, because Puerto Rico is, but like, I was like, it was just cool. Island vibes. I loved
that
it.
island vibe, man. The Caribbean. I've been to Cuba, which I know is not Puerto Rico or the DR, but it's that kind of, I think, that same vibe, from the Spanish and whatnot.
I mean, just people kind of enjoyed. Everyone was in a good mood. Everyone just like was like having fun. Was happy to be there. The food on set was like incredible. The catering was like. It was like steaks and potatoes and like chicken. It was just great across the board. I loved it.
Damn. Now I'm really upset I didn't get it. We would have met there. So that's Clayton. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best of luck and the best of success. And you're going to have continued success because you're so talented and everything. And I can't wait to hopefully work together with you. And any final thoughts? And if not, then we can say our goodbyes.
Just thanks for having me. And yeah, you're so funny, and I'm sure we'll work together on something soon.
You got it, my friend.
All right.
Well, folks, that has been Paul Vato Presents. And my guest, of course, was Clayton Farris, actor, writer, social media influencer, brilliant improviser. So, folks, please make sure you follow him. And Clayton, once again, thank you so much. And
of course.
Continued success, my friend.
All right. I'm going to go put on pants. Bye.
As am I. Round of applause, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Do we leave?
And ese hombre holding up the bottle. Look a little closer, cigar and Moscato. An actor in improv coming from Chicago. Outdoor, make way for Paul Vato.